everybody. It's Georgia Rose from Zenkuda. Welcome to the Soul Space. I'm actually pre-recording today's Soul Space podcast because, of course, it's Columbus Day for us here in the United States of America, and I have a holiday. So I actually was not able to come into the studio tonight. So welcome to Soul Space. I hope you're joining us every Monday at 7 p.m. here on Strong Island Television and also on all podcast platforms, Spotify and YouTube. I have a YouTube channel called Zenkuda. And also you can see replays on those channels. And you can also see replays on Apple Podcasts. And you can even ask your Alexa to play my show. So welcome. And if you're not watching this live, then you can definitely watch the replay. So last week we talked a lot about some of the astrology coming in, and boy, oh boy, was it quite a week. We talked a lot about how there would be discord in the world, and I hate to report that as a negative, but sometimes it helps us to become aware of those things so that we can actually know what to expect and use astrology for guidance. So what a week it was. We are now seeing a war in Israel, and the Speaker of the House position here in the United States has been vacated. So astrology never lies. And I actually came across something that I had written quite a while ago. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I moved my camera. Quite a while ago that I wanted to share with you this evening, because one of the things that we do on the Soul Space is talk about astrology, but it isn't just the only modality we use. There's a lot of modalities we use here in Zenkuda to guide our lives, to be able to be more aware and open to energy. And so astrology is just one piece of that. I've been studying astrology now for over 12 years. I do that quite a lot. I spend a lot of hours. I'm actually in an immersive class right now with other astrologists from all over the world. And that's going to last several months. So I really enjoy doing it. And what I've found in my life is astrology has given me a tremendous amount of guidance in reading energy and also knowing, kind of having a heads up of what comes next, and knowing that kind of energy and what's coming in helps me to be prepared and really know when to do things and how to time things in my life. So that's why we talk a lot about astrology on the program. But we talk about a lot of other modalities too. And before I read what I wrote about astrology, I just wanted to remind everybody that on October 23rd, we're going to have a special guest. Kathy Marinelli Gagliano is going to be on, and she's an author. She's actually working on her second book, but she'll be talking to us about that and her first book, A Mother's Intuition. So please set your calendars to chime in on that day and zoom in and see us, because Kathy is quite an inspiration, and she's going to talk a lot about her journey and the things that she learned and some of the ways that she knows now how to navigate energy, having to do especially with the journey that she had with her son who has some challenges. So this is what I wrote about astrology. I was doing a video quite a while back, and I was trying to figure out how to explain why I use astrology and what it can do for us in our lives. And so one of the things I thought about was that a lot of times people will come to me for a reading and they'll want to know like what's happening in their future. And, you know, I do have some premonition and some psychic ability, but I use it for evolution. I don't, you know, if you come to me for a reading, I'm not exactly going to tell you, oh, you're going to win lotto or you're going to buy a red car. That's really not going to do anything to help your soul growth, right? So when I do a reading, it's a lot of evolutionary astrology that'll help you grow your soul, self-develop, come into your highest purpose and potential in your life. That's also what Zenkuda Soul Space is about, finding that soul space within us and really igniting our life and finding our ambition from that into our soul purpose. So when I think about astrology, I don't think of it as in terms of predicting the future, although it absolutely does that, because when you can read the energy or get a really good astrologer that you see a couple of times a year, whether that's me or another person, professional that you jive with, when you can do that and periodically know the energy that's going to come in for you, it really does predict your future, because then you have a choice as to how you're going to react and act with it. And you can kind of plan out your timing, but you can also plan out how you actually embody the energy throughout your life. So astrology helps us find beauty, surrender, and acceptance in our existence, because we learn lessons. You know, I'm going to talk about energy tonight, and one of the things I'm going to tell you is about the eclipse coming in on the 14th. And if you know the energy of that eclipse and how it's best used, then it helps you to kind of surrender to that because you feel more prepared. You're not so anxious about what's going to happen, what's going to happen. You can feel the energy and you know how to move through it. Astrology also diminishes our attachment to things because there's some things we just don't have any control over. Especially when it comes to the old adage, as above, so below. Whatever's happening in the sky is going to eventually translate into happening in our own personal lives and also in the macrocosm of the world. So energy is energy. We can't really change energy. We can transform the way that we react to it and thereby transform the actions that take place in our lives. So it's really true that our attachment to the energy or the attachment to certain things becomes lessened because we can see a bigger picture, a broader sense. We know what's coming next. So we're not so tied and entangled into the power dramas that might be happening today because we know it's not permanent and the energy keeps moving and ebbing and flowing, and something either more challenging or more easy or more beautiful is coming, and we have to focus on what we're going to do next. Astrology also promotes our inhabitant of reality. What does that mean? It means that we live in reality. Like, we're not so worried about the future because we're using the energy that we know is coming to create our future. So we don't worry about the speculation of the worst thing happening. Even when we're undergoing a particularly challenging transit, when you're working with your astrology and your birth chart and you're seeking a professional to do that with you, it enables you to really understand what's real and what's just the story in our head. So then we really start to live in reality instead of in those crazy stories that we tell ourselves that are going to happen before they ever happen, right? As my yoga instructor always says, the voice in your head is just the voice in your head, and your mind will always lie to you. But the stars in astrology always tell the truth, just like our bodies, right? If we stop the chatter in our mind to just drop in and feel the sensations in our body, we know what's real. We know what makes us upset or our intuition tells us to stay away from, or the things our intuition tells us to go for. But we spend so much time in the story in our head. So astrology helps us interpret energy so that we stay in reality. Astrology is meant to release us from anxiety and fixation about our existence. And it really does that just in the ways I've explained, but also because as we progress through our chart and we know kind of what our innate nature is and how we're born and what our existence is, the energy that we're absolutely incarnated with is in our chart. It's our nature. The personality is not something we're necessarily born with. We're born with our nature, what we are truly authentically are. But the personality, of course, is formed, and we form it based on the external things that come into our life, the influences, the parental units, the structures, the schooling, the religions, the politics, everything that we, are taking in through the five senses. But our nature, our true nature, is above the five senses. It's what we were before we were ever born. It's what we will be after we transform. So when we live by our true nature, that soul space, then it becomes less anxious and we're less fixated on what comes next because we have that trust of who we innately are. And astrology really promotes all of this for us simply by knowing the energy, being able to really look at the energy, read it, and see it. And you don't have to be an astrologer. And I can't say this strongly enough. Get a professional astrologer to work with you 2 or 3 times a year to go over your chart so that you know what the energy coming in is and you can flow with it. Because I see all these memes that come up on Facebook and all these amateur astrologists who put all these things out. And most of the time, it's really not what the energy is. Like the society in general and the media in general has everyone fearing Mercury retrogrades, for instance. And Mercury retrogrades are actually a very important part of our self-development. Any planet retrograde is. Because when a planet goes retrograde, it gives us a chance to deeply go into the energy of that planet and what their archetype and what the influences are of that planet. Using Mercury as an example, Mercury is our minds, Mercury is communication, Mercury is the sequencing of things as they come into our life. So when we have a Mercury retrograde, it means the planet is close to Earth, it's more potent, and so it slows down a little bit. Planets never stop and they never go backwards, they just slow down. And so when a Mercury is retrograde, what the lesson is to really plan more. Make sure you're paying attention to the details. Use your mind and your mind's energy where it's most effective. Work smart, not hard. Instead of having to do everything twice after it falls apart, check it twice before you start. Before you leave the house to catch that airplane, double check everything. Do I have my luggage? Do I have my boarding pass? Do I have my identification? Did I remember everything I needed to remember? That's what Mercury teaches us. It's the process of thought. So when Mercury is retrograde and we ignore our process of thought, that's when the glitches happen. So that's what Mercury retrograde, for instance, teaches us. But society makes us have this problem of Mercury retrograde causing all these problems and issues. And oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, don't do anything on a Mercury retrograde. No, do things on a Mercury retrograde, but check everything twice and make sure that you're utilizing your most important mental capacity. That's what Mercury, our communication, wants us to do. So that's an example of when you understand the energy, how you utilize it. So when I see a Mercury retrograde coming up, I don't say, oh my God, I better not do something. I better not buy the car or sign the paperwork. I say, oh, it's a Mercury retrograde. Let me make sure that I check the paperwork twice, really read that fine print, and make sure this is what I want, right? That's the lesson of Mercury retrograde. So that's the lesson of the energy of the astrology, is to know it. And if you watch some of these memes that come forward, or the amateur columns or the amateur people on YouTube who haven't really studied, they can give you some really misleading information. And that's going to defeat the purpose of using the modality of astrology to guide your life. So there's beauty in everything. There's beauty and bliss in everything, but you want to make sure that it has a truthful foundation, right? So astrology connects us also to eternity. And one of the things that I think is the most beautiful about the planets, and some astrologers, partly I kind of believe in this. I can feel it in my body, but and in my soul, but I don't know yet the extent of it because I'm still studying my own development with these things. But a lot of master astrologers think of the planets as gods. Like each planet is a different sort of a god or deity in the sense of their archetype and their energy. I could see, why that would be thought, because there's one creator energy that created all the planets. And when you really study astrology, just the mathematical formulas and the way they keep having repetition, almost like the flower of life or certain mathematical formulas, it's uncanny, and you can no longer not believe in creator, God, energy, eternity, the evolution of life, planets, and things. There's just no way you can ever deny that energy when you study astrology, because it's all just mapped out there in the universe, and it can be seen and it's tangible. And there's still so much we don't even know yet. So I'm sure that'll keep being proved. But that's why, for me, astrology connects me with eternity. And that's just the cycles of the planet and the evolutions of them have given me such comfort in my life, knowing that energy never dies. It just transforms. And you can really see it in the planets and in the stars and just in the beautiful mysteries that are out there. And then also in a lot of the things that we have solved and we do know to be true, and the science. So yeah, that connection with eternity really changed my perspective of life, because when I realized that, I'll give you an example. I remember being terribly, terribly heartbroken about a breakup. And at one point, just realizing, you know what, I don't really have to be that heartbroken, because maybe in this lifetime that energy isn't going to resolve, and it was a breakup where there was a lot of things that to this day I still don't know what was true. I still don't know what that person thought of me and why, because some of the things they said I know were not true, and vice versa. So I know that energy will never reconcile in this lifetime, but I take great comfort in the fact that our souls will probably somehow reconcile it in some way. put a period at that sentence in some lifetime, maybe eons from now, I don't know. But because I believe that those things do resolve, because that's love, and nothing is meant to be left in conflict. And so that's how I connect with eternity, and that we get these constant evolution and revolutions of our lifetime in order to bring all beauty and bliss and goodness to every action and reaction eventually in the end. So astrology opened me up to all that. And so that's why I use it a lot on the show, because it's like one of the modalities that I've found to be really, really amazing. So I just wanted to kind of talk about astrology in that way a little bit, so that you know why it has meaning to me. Because I think sometimes we get really distracted in life, and we can kind of get into the situation of, just by rote talking about the energy of the planets. And the planets are living things, just like the earth is a living thing. And so you want to have respect for that. And when I talk about it, those energies are really pretty sacred. And I impart them to you because I am grateful for the knowledge wisdom that I have, just like I'm so grateful for the people that teach me and who have taught me, and their knowledge and wisdom. And I'm so absolutely abundantly grateful that's out in the world. The only way I have to honor that gratitude is to pay it forward with what I know, and maybe bring other people into the lineage of studying. And so that's why that modality is very important to me, as is a lot of other modalities, healing work and Reiki, and, tarot, I feel, is a very sacred space as well. So that's a little bit about that. So now what I want to say before I go into the astrology for today and for this week, which is super important, this might be one of the most potent weeks we've had in 2023, I have to say, with this eclipse coming in. So bear with me, because we're going to get to that. So I also, before we get to that, I just want to talk a little bit about opening. And opening ourselves, our heart, our energy. I want to challenge all of you out there listening, if in some way you could open your energy lines. And some of you may be like scratching your head like, what does she mean? Well, I believe physical movement, being out in nature, those things really help us to open our energy and open our hearts, open our minds. When we do that and make a conscious effort to do that, we're raising our own vibration, and we're raising the vibration in the world. And that's really important now, especially since we have so much unrest in the world. We're seeing discord and conflict on an epic global scale. So I want to challenge all of you to, if you can, I know this is a hard one, every day, try and go out, or if you live in a climate where you really can't go out, go to an indoor gym or walk place or something. Try and exercise every day, just to open your energy, and exercising doesn't have to mean you got to run around the block or jog or play 20 things of pickleball. It could simply be that you, just shake your hands out, get up and shake, or, make some movement, because we've got to open energy. And I feel like the world is becoming such a closed place. And that's one reason why another one of my modalities is yoga, very sacred for me also. And I believe that having that modality in my life opens my energy. So it increases the flow of energy around me. It increases my awareness mentally. It also increases and expands my ability to love and receive love. So I'm just going to challenge all of you to really open yourselves, even when you feel yourself stretch, or you pull your arms back and really stretch back, and stretching that chest, we're opening our heart area, really important to do on a daily basis. And then sending that opening and that love out to everyone in the universe. It could be that simple. If you work on the computer a lot, just, move your hands back and forth, or shake your hands out and feel the energy flowing again into those restricted areas. We restrict ourselves too much, and I think it's causing a lot of restriction in the world. The way each individual human vibrates sends out that vibration everywhere. So we really want to make sure that we're vibing high. So this is something I wrote about being open. Okay. So bear with me. I know I'm reading a lot today, right? So living open is a choice. It really is. And sometimes it's not an easy choice. If we've been hurt or offended or angry, man, we do not want to live open. I know, I've been all those things. Jealousy, envy. Oh man, we're closed, right? That might is right comes out. I'm going to show you, I'm not vulnerable. So living open is a choice. The universe can't give you anything if your door is closed. Amazon isn't the only thing that leaves stuff on your doorstep. I wrote this to myself, by the way. So does God. Amazon isn't the only thing that leaves stuff on your doorstep. So does God. But are you home? Are you fully present to receive it? That's the challenge in this energy that's coming up that we're in already this week. Are we open? Can we remain open when we're seeing atrocities on our television? Can we remain open when we're hearing screaming in the streets? Can we remain open when our friends or family maybe offend us, or we're so angry we want to be offensive? Can we remain open when we're hurt, sad, grieving? That's the challenge. And that's what Pluto teaches us. And Pluto's coming in heavy till the end of this year. So what if we got as excited about the things life brings us as we do when the doorbell rings and there's a package on the porch? What's on your porch? Are you open or closed? Is your door open or closed? And what's on that porch? Is there passion on your porch? Are you ready to pick that up and start your day on your way out? Or is there disappointment, frustration? What's on the porch? Is it gratitude for what's been given you, what's been left there? Or is it just a pile of crap you want to return? We're all channels. We are. We're all channels of energy. Energy comes through us, comes out of us, comes into us. We're just this big tube, this big channel of energy. But are we open? Are we receiving what we're meant to receive during our lifetime here? And are we giving out what we're meant to give out during our lifetime here? How can we expect to receive if we're closed? We can't expect to receive if we're closed. We want it all, but sometimes we're bitter and disappointed, and we're closed to it. Sometimes we don't even know it. We don't even realize it. The door's closed. We don't want anything on our porch. Don't give me anything. I don't want anything for my birthday. How many times we do that? And we take away someone else's joy of giving to us because we don't know how to receive. We're tired. We've had it. We're done. We don't want to give anybody anything. We don't need anything. But you do. You got to be open. On Saturday and Sundays at my home, I always have my door open. Literally, like I'll get up and I'll just, after I'm dressed or whatever, and I open my front door just to let people know, hey, if anybody's driving by or wants to stop in, hopefully nice people. But a lot of my neighbors have moved away now, but I used to live in a neighborhood where we did that. People walked in the house, had a cup of coffee. How many of us grew up that way? We're afraid of that now, aren't we? Closed. We might want it, but no one's going to do it because our door is closed. Maybe manifesting is a lot like Amazon. Open the door when the package comes, be open. It's a choice. Starts with being a clear channel to receive. So if you want somebody to come over for a cup of coffee or just to sit, maybe meditate with you or look at a chart or whatever, you got to pick up the phone and be open. You got to open the door. You got to let things come in. And I just wanted to remind everybody of that because we are going to have the next few days and the last few days also coming into this weekend. And now it's Monday again. We've got a lot of energy coming in that's challenging, but we're up to it. We can handle it as long as we stay open. When we stay closed, we might think we're blocking the energy, but usually what happens is the energy kind of hovers around us looking for an opening, right? Because energy wants us to process it. The only way to get over something or learn from it or get the wisdom that is in the abduction and the loss of certain energies is to go through them. You have to go through it. So don't remain closed. You've got to open so that you can have the experience you're meant to have in this lifetime. Otherwise, the energy just piles up outside your door, and then it's going to just swallow you all at once. I'm speaking from experience. Okay, so today you're going to be viewing this on Monday, October 10th, and that is the day that Pluto actually goes direct. And I want to talk a lot about Pluto. Pluto is a planet that a lot of people get scared of, like, oh no, Pluto, because Pluto is really referred to as sometimes decay, death, not always nice things. But when you look at that energy of Pluto, it's really rebirth. It's, typically speaking, the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. That's Plutonian energy. It's an energy of transformation. It's an energy of transfiguration, which means that something completely changes form, just like the caterpillar becomes the butterfly. That's a transfiguration. It's not just a transformation. Energy has actually completely warped into something completely different. So that's what Pluto's transformation does for us in our life. A lot of people refer to it as a dark night of the soul. Some people call it a healing crisis, which is what I like to call it. But when Pluto comes in, it sometimes will rip something away. We'll have a loss, or something in our life will actually be abducted from us. We feel like it's been stripped away, when someone passes or something, or maybe a structure. But Pluto does that so that we get the opportunity to build it anew, to really find out our own resources from within and what we're really made of. And Pluto also takes things away and causes destruction because something has passed its usefulness. It's no longer necessary. It's no longer needed, like those relationships that fall away and we're devastated, but we know deep down inside they kind of passed their life expectancy, right? They expired. They weren't really doing for us what they should have been doing. By clearing that energy, we have an opportunity to find something bigger and deeper and more meaningful. That's Pluto. But the problem is, while we're going through the loss, going through that ripping away, that abduction of something in our life, it's so extremely tragic and it's hard. Like these last few years we've had with COVID, with structures, being dissolved. That's Plutonian energy in Capricorn, where it's been for almost 18 years. So Pluto in Capricorn has been the driving force behind almost all of the changes we're seeing across the globe. This is caused a lot of environmental changes. It's caused a lot of structures to fall. It's caused anything that is past its potential, obsolete is the word I'm looking for. Anything that is obsolete or past a time that's historic or no longer the best use of something, Pluto will dissolve it. Pluto has been dancing around with the planet Uranus for the last couple of years, and that's causing a lot of shocking things to be, dissolving. Everything from the dress code in Congress to the way that we communicate has changed, right? So usually it's the Plutonian energy that clears that out. Pluto is in the very last time of Capricorn. It's not going to go back there ever again in our lifetime. It won't go back into Capricorn for 240 years. It's going to be going into Aquarius in the beginning of 2024. So there was a small time last spring when Pluto went into Aquarius and then retrograded now back into Capricorn at 27 degrees. Why am I bringing all this up? Because it's very significant. Pluto is playing a huge part in the eclipse coming in next Friday, and in the energy that we're seeing now playing out. All this stuff going on in the Middle East, all of these things. It's Pluto coming in, finishing up, finally getting rid of any last vestiges, any last, crumbs of whatever it was trying to convert and transform in the last 18 years. So in our lives as well, structures, relationships, these roundabout revolution things that we're going into and just keep circular and circular and circular and circular. Now in 2024, new energy comes. Pluto has been the wrecking ball in my life. It's been in my second house. It wrecked everything I ever had over the last 18 years. And in the last decade, I've rebuilt it all in better, more powerful, healthier. I can't even tell you the life that I have created now in co-creation with a higher power is so much better than the life that I was crying about a decade ago. So I feel like I'm living proof of Pluto's mission. Okay. So I don't fear Pluto. I actually like the deep dive. I like to go really deep under everything so that I can see what it wants to transform and then do the work. That takes a lot of courage, a lot of valor. So for everyone out there that's gone through that type of healing crisis in their life, and I know so many of you have, I know personally of some of your trials and tribulations, and we're all in triumph. We all eventually triumph. It's that circle of life, that circle of planets, right? That circle of eternity. But now Pluto's coming in the last couple of months of 2023 to finish the job. And it is powerful and potent, and we can't ignore it. So whatever is happening in your life, whatever is coming up, and really sticking it to you a little bit, have the courage to make the change and transform. Because if you don't, it's just going to get worse. I'm telling you, I hate to say that, but it will just get worse. We have to move the energy into a better place. And that's why I was saying before, even just open yourself every day, be open. You want to let this disruptiveness bring you awareness. Go through the disruption to find out, what does this want from me? What do I need to give? How do I have to feed this in a healthy way so that I'm not getting eaten alive by it anymore? All right. That's really what it is. And it's all courage. And I spoke about this on last week's show too. And this really funny thing happened outside the studio. Bobby Lucero, who's my producer, Bobby LA, we love him. I have such gratitude for everything Bobby has done for me. And somebody left a little painted rock outside the studio door the other day that he put on Facebook that said courage. And I said, Bob, I was talking about that on the show. We have to have courage to walk through some of the adversity that got piled onto us in the last few years. And now in this little bitty chunk of 2023 that we have left, you're going to see a lot of conflict, a lot of disruption, but it's not a bad thing. Going through it and being in the reality of it is very uncomfortable, very painful. We're going to see a lot of loss. But the overall picture, the broader picture of it, is to bring us to a better place. You know, like I'm praying every day and sending high vibration to Israel and the Middle East and other places in the world, Ukraine and all those places where people are suffering so badly, because I'm hoping that all these atrocities, in the end, the good that comes from it outweighs that, and that we live in a peaceful world at some point. So the week starts on Monday with Pluto going direct. That means the energy is going to be super potent throughout this week and next. It also means that we're going to feel like things are moving forward, because the outer planets now are starting to pick up on get out of their retrogrades, but that really won't be in complete effect until, again, the beginning of 2024. So the way we're going to feel now in the current energy is we're going to feel like things are moving a little bit, because a lot of our personal planets, being Venus, Mercury is moving very fast. Those make us feel like things are moving quickly because we have a lot going on. There's a lot of activity, a lot of noise in the world. Things are moving very fast. Our schedules are full. So we feel like we're moving forward, but we're really not. It's just busyness. It's noise, because the outer planets, Pluto, Saturn, Uranus, that really govern the way things operate in the world, are still very slow moving and very in their retrogrades and their stationary times. So don't fall into the trap of thinking you're really busy. Activity does not create accomplishment all the time. Sometimes we confuse activity with accomplishment, and we're running around and we're doing everything, but nothing's really changed. So make sure in your businesses, in your professions, in your personal lives, wherever it is, make sure that you're using your time the best way you can, and really making sure that you're spending the right amount of attention on the things that truly deserve it, and that truly will propel you forward where you want to go when that energy does change in 2024. So that's the first thing I wanted to say, because you're going to see that a lot. Like even now, I was watching the news a little bit more than I should have because I really don't watch very often. I just watch enough to know what's going on in the world. But what I noticed was they have back-to-back like 24-hour coverage about Israel right now. And of course, that deserves coverage. But as I'm watching, I'm realizing, well, the situation from last time I watched anyway seemed the same. It's horrible and atrocious, but it seems the same. But there's so much activity about it. That's the kind of thing. Just like in our own personal lives, our schedule might be really, really full with activity and doing a lot of things, but it hasn't really changed the things we need movement on, right? Like myself, I'll give you an example. I've been super busy organizing and doing a lot of things in my house these last 3 days. And also I'm planning a retreat and doing all these things and a lot of education for my earthbound job. And I'm really busy with all that stuff. But yet there's been a power washer sitting in my garage for 3 weeks because I really need to power wash a whole big sidewalk to my back area that is just covered in like green, slimy, slippery stuff from not having sun. But I'm not getting any movement on what's important. I don't want anybody to slip and fall, but I'm doing all this other stuff like cleaning out a closet. That's the energy now. We're busy. We've got all this activity, but the things we really want to accomplish, we're not doing. We're not having movement. I'm not sitting down and writing another chapter of my book. I'm cleaning out closets. That's the way we're working right now. Mercury is causing a lot of that. So is Venus. Venus is the things we love, what we value. Mercury is our processing of our minds and our communication. Mercury is flying through Libra. Mercury is flying this month, as is Venus. So Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring a whole new 240-year cycle when that starts to happen at the beginning of 2024. Why am I talking about this now? Because you're going to see a lot of energy coming in between now and the end of the year. And I don't want to get distracted by it. And I hope that you guys don't get distracted by it either. There's going to be a lot of turmoil in the world. There may even be some turmoil in your personal lives, depending on where Pluto is in your chart. If you want to read and call me. But at the same time, we've got to focus on what we really want our goals to be for 2024. Before you know it, you're going to blink and October is going to be over. October is going to be a super quick month. November is going to be just as quick. And then you're going to be like, oh, what does 2024 really mean to me? Sit down, journal, really start to rein yourself in and decide, because we're going to have great opportunity in 2024 with a lot of new energy for our future. But right now, we've got to tie up a lot of loose ends. Uranus and Pluto originally started to connect in the 60s. That's why we saw a lot of repeat of those energies. Feminism became the We Too movement. Ecology became, global warming and the green thing. Banking has a whole new face, right? So that's why those energies have happened that way. So as I said, Mercury is very fast moving. Mercury, Venus, and Mars are moving super quick. And those are our personal planets. Those are the planets that make our personal lives and the things we do in our personal lives feel very, very quick and active now. And they are moving fast. They're moving into new ground also, which is great, because now's a great time for us to make those lists, start those, brain maps, the mind maps of where we want to go and the projects we want to do and the things we want to accomplish in our life. Plan those trips for 2024, that kind of thing. Look at your itinerary, do your research. But October is a month where there's just a lot of conflict and there's no way out of it. A lot of the things that come up this month are not going to be resolved for a while. We're going to feel like we're spinning a little bit, especially a little bit later in this week when I believe it is the 11th and 12th, when we've got some aspects coming into Chiron, which is the planet of our healing. So what we want to do is make sure we use this energy to kind of be as introspective as we can, because it's going to be very distracting with all the things that are going on in our personal life and outside world. So you want to make sure that you are able to go and be a little bit introspective and focus on your personal goals, and then look and see if your activities and the actions you're taking in your life are supporting those goals. Because it's going to be really easy for those goals to fall by the wayside, and then we miss the opportunity of the energy we have to really be in the planning and preparation stages for that, which is from now until the end of the year. So I'm going to go through a couple of days with you. October 7th, Mars is going into an angle with Pluto. It's a square. That's very much a conflict. I know that that was actually a couple of days before this broadcast, but that energy stays with us for quite a while this week. And that can produce some kind of a crisis. I know that was very close to when we saw all the stuff go on in the Middle East. Venus goes into Virgo, which gives us more creative energy, but also more cautious energy. Venus in Virgo is an energy that likes to make the list and be more careful. That's why I say it's a good time to make the plans for your future. All right. But the theme this week, and just like last week, is power struggles and hidden power struggles. People speaking against authority, especially when Mars goes into Scorpio, which is on the 12th and 13th, around 12th, 13th, like the evening of the 12th. When Mars goes into Scorpio, it's like no more Mrs. Nice Guy. Mars in Libra was more diplomatic and wanted to listen. Mars in Scorpio is just like, I'm going to kill you, you know? So Mars in Scorpio is just like, boom, done. That's it. Explosion. So that energy happens right on the eclipse. So the eclipse comes in on the 14th. We've got now Mars in Scorpio, which is a take no prisoners type thing. We've got Pluto and Mars in a square, which is like conflict, crisis of conflict, conflict of crisis. We've got hidden power struggles. But what this does, the good side of this, is it brings us awareness. Once we see the conflict unraveling and unfolding, we're like, oh, now I know what that was about. Now I know where this is going. I know where we're going with this, right? So it almost becomes an energy of, and stick with me on this, it becomes an energy of integrating what we thought we knew this whole year, right? We've had this fogginess, this like, what's true, what's not true? Oh, is that true? Oh, but wait, then they said this. Now, with this eclipse, we start to get an energy. We're still in conflict, but now an awareness starts to come through. And now it becomes what we thought happened isn't what actually happened. And now we're able to see it. And we're able to better gauge where we're going and what we want to happen. So the fogginess might be still there a little bit, but the awareness is coming through it. It's like seeing headlights through the fog. Now we kind of get a little bit orientated. We can orientate to the energy, and now we kind of come up with a plan. And that's why that Virgo energy, that Venus in Virgo, is so great, because that's tactical. It wants to, make the list, cut the brain map, and this piece goes there and this piece goes there. And so this awareness that comes in really does lead us to the future, but it's slow going because we still have those outer planets very slow. So you're not going to see the world just wake up one day and be like, I get it, this is our future. But personally, you will now start to watch everything with an awareness, and now you can start to create your own future because you kind of know how things are going to go. So really open that energy. Like I said, physical movement every day, open the heart, open the mind, lead yourself into the future by your awareness. Conflict's going to be all around you. Be very strategic and tactical and just observe and know, okay, I see that's happening. I know what that's about. I'm going to go over here and plan for it. That's the way to utilize the energy. Do you see how astrology can guide us so beautifully? So the eclipse is happening at 21 degrees of Libra. This eclipse aspects Uranus, which is at 22 degrees of Taurus. So you're going to expect some changes. Eclipse energy will be from, let me just look at my dates here, because eclipse energy doesn't just like happen in a night. Eclipse energy stays with us. So the punch of this Libra Aries axis is going to be with us from April of this year. It started and until March of 2025. We'll have a lot of focus on relationships. The Libra Aries axis, the Libran energy, the Aries energy is all about communication, but it's communication that is challenged in some ways because that Arian energy wants to know it. It wants to know everything. It's curious. It's forceful. It's demanding. It can be warlike. It can be angry, but it also knows that it can't know everything just by talking to itself. So Aries goes to Libra and says, come into my thinking, come into my project. I need you to help me understand. And Libra's role is the harmony, teaching Aries that, might is not always right. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be in love? Do you want to, rule with an iron fist, or do you want to open to receive the thing you really are trying to get through power, right? So that's the axis that we're going to be on for a long time. 2024, those are the themes that are going to come in because of this eclipse season. The themes are going to be balance. It's going to be all about partnerships, not just romantic partnerships, but business partnerships, family partnerships, diplomacy. Libra is very much all about diplomacy, hearing the other person's side. Hopefully this energy will lean more towards the Libran energy with the conflicts we have going on in the world, and not the Aries energy. This is about commitment and the effort it takes, it is required to be in a commitment, to be in a true partnership. It's no easy task. This is having the courage to be vulnerable and also simply state your own need. That's Libran energy. This is about making peace. This is about establishing harmony in your environment. This probably why I'm cleaning out my closets. This Libran eclipse wants you to make your home beautiful, wants you to create a beautiful environment even on your person. And you'll see that energy playing out for the next 18 months or so. Also, this is a complicated energy. I know this seems like a complicated video. It's complex because the Libra Aries axis is all about complexity. It's about the complexity of relationship and speaking, and when do I speak and when do you speak, and can we listen to each other to create the harmony that is Libran. The diplomacy, it takes a lot of effort to do that. We all speak and then we listen with the intent to reply. Can you listen without the intent to reply? Can you listen to listen? And without thinking, I know what I'm going to say, I need to say this, I need to say this. Can you listen thinking maybe this person's going to say something that'll change what I think I need to say? And really completely, deeply listen. So we have been, since April, when we had that Aries full moon, Aries thing, a lot of Aries energy going in, and we had that Pluto go into Aquarius for a short period of time. What that did was it brought us in an axis where we were expressing and accessing a lot of like our assertiveness, right? Like, we are who we are. You better listen to me. A lot of that assertiveness. Now the energy is prompted to go into more of a healthy balance because of Libra. So it's like that circle, right? You have polarity. But we still have that Uranus and Taurus aspecting this eclipse, causing that sudden, shocking explosions. So this is a very disruptive and uncomfortable energy. It's not an energy that's going to be resolvable right away. We might have to sit in the energy, kind of like sitting in a dirty diaper. It's uncomfortable, right? But we know it's not going to be forever. So my best advice to you in this energy is to definitely try and go into a place of healing, a place where you can still keep your energy lines open, a place of love. And whatever the disruptives are in your life, if you feel really uncomfortable and really disruptive watching something, turn it off. If there's a person that's really disrupting you, or you feel really disrupted by, just go away from them. Take a pause from that person for a while. But this is all about integrating the energy so that we develop awareness that we can use for our future. Friday the 13th is very intense energy. Mars is trining Saturn that day. Saturn wants things to be stable. And Mars is that, moving forward, the gas in the car. So that can help us have a little bit of stability on Friday, but we're still going to see a lot of disruption because on the 14th, when that lunar eclipse comes in, that new moon in Libra, that is an annoying energy. I can't lie. It's just an annoying energy. And that energy is going to be with us a long time. That eclipse is very powerful. So after the eclipse on the 16th, then the moon goes into Scorpio. So that brings us in an energy where we really want to be more contemplative. We want to do the deep dive, which is going to help us bring things into our future. Also remember, I'm just looking at my planetary notes here. A lot of the agitation that we're feeling is on the surface. It's like media that we're watching too much, or someone who's annoying us, or something scheduling is annoying us, or the plane's delayed. It's like it's on the surface. Underneath, and this is going to really be felt after the eclipse when the moon goes into Scorpio, underneath is calm waters. If you can be with yourself, remember what I had just read to you that I had written about. What's on your porch? Open your door. Sit with whatever on your porch. In other words, go into your soul space. Operate from there. Then this isn't going to be that annoying, because a lot of the disruptions that are happening are really on the surface in that three-dimensional world. And if you can just dive a little deeper, you're going to be able to make it through this week and the next and this month, and you're going to be planning for your future, and you're going to find that beautiful, unshakable serenity that is your soul space. So that's everything I wanted to say. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. And even though we weren't live tonight, I will answer your comments. And you can always find me on Zenkuda Official on Instagram, Zenkuda Soul Space on Facebook, and of course, my YouTube channel, where we'll have this video along with 150 other videos, Zenkuda. Thank you so much. I am Georgia Rose, founder of the Zenkuda community, and I'm sending you all out love for a peaceful and serene week if you just go within and shut off the noise. Thanks so much. I'll be here next Monday night at 7 p.m. in the Soul Space.